Welcome, my friends. Can everyone post a yes in the chat? If you can hear me, you can see me. We're using a completely new platform, Gather Round, because our favorite platform, Butter, is shutting down tomorrow, literally in 24 hours. Has anyone ever been to an event with the Community Collective on Butter? Post a hell yes in the chat if you have joined an event with us in Butter before from the Community Collective, because we are moving. It gets shut down. They've been acquired by Miro. So we are now on Gather Round. So please gather round. We are here for our strategy workshop about how we grew a 17-person meetup to a 17.8K movement, which is wild. And so my name is Paz Pisarski. I'm one of the co-founders of the Community Collective. And I am so thrilled to have you all here live with us today, because there were over 100 people who registered for this workshop, which is wild. It actually capped out. We had to open more seats, and then we had to set up this new tech platform. So it has just been fun and games since day dot. And so it has been really cool seeing who you wish that you could bring into this room as your celebrity guest. Enos and I both said the same person, Priya Parker. Love that. We have had Simon Sinek. I've heard Alan Watts, and of course, Bad Bunny. Absolutely. That halftime show in America was pretty wild. So I would love to hear in the chat who you wish you could have join this incredible session today, because the purpose of why we're gathering here today is to really learn about community building and actually just understand the story about how the Community Collective started. And also, I really just want to open the hood and just share all the secrets, all the tactics, all of the strategies that we have used creating this community from scratch. So I'm going to walk you through the entire journey, all of the different decisions that we made, the systems that have supported us throughout the entire session. And then I have personally created a community strategy template for you all to get. So we're going to complete that live today. So this is an active session. Please turn your camera on if you can. Wave, give me a wave. We are here as humans, real people. So please turn your camera on. We're going to have a bit of a wave. We're going to do a group photo as well today to get a bit of an idea of who's in the room, do a bit of a check-in. So I'll walk you through all of those elements. But for now, it's so good to see so many CCians, and Tennille absolutely loves Zoe Foster Blake. We've been speaking to Hamish Blake, actually, and Hamish and Andy about a very cool collab. So stay tuned. So today is really about learning, okay? And the first thing we're going to learn about is Gather Round, because if this is the first time that you're on this platform, we want to make sure that you understand how it works. So basically, Gather Round, you can find all of the settings top right. If you need anything at all, you can change your name. Obviously, you've got your camera and mic settings in there. You can turn your camera on. You'll find a little video turn camera on button. And of course, if you want to share and jump up on the main stage, you can click raise hand. So if you want to share something today, we're going to have questions. You're absolutely welcome to. But if you don't want to, and you just kind of want to like listen in the background, like, Paz, don't make me be a public today. I won't. You can post in the chat and we will use all of that. Oh, I'm a poet. How fun. So we are going to get straight into it today, because we've got a really fun and active workshop that we have prepared for all of you today, and really want to make this useful and worthwhile. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the first element of our community strategy workshop, which is really to think about what we're here to learn. But we have a ritual at the Community Collective before we start any live session, which is a acknowledgement of country. So today I am actually on the land of the Wurundjeri people. I am in the Commons, which is a really beautiful co-working space here in Melbourne, and they are on the land of the Kulin Nation. So please, can everyone post in the chat, where are you tuning in from? Just the city name, the country name. You can also find the traditional owners of the land in which you're tuning in from via the link in the chat. Enos is our community lead, and she is our tech master for today. So anything you might need, you can post in there. Okay, we got people from sunny coast, Gadigal land. Oh my God, G is here from Brazil. We got India, Pakistan. Whoa, cool, love that. United States, what time is it there? Go you, Michelle. So how today's going to work, we're going to start with a question about asking you how confident you feel in community strategy. I'm going to share all the entire playbook in which we've used at the Community Collective for building a movement. And then we're going to give all of the secrets, all the systems, and all of the strategy insights about how you can now apply this today. We've got that template. We're going to complete it together so you leave with something really tangible. And oh my God, we get to announce a cohort number 8 winner. So every live session in the month of Feb and March, we are giving away a full scholarship valued at $2,900 to join our 8-week community cohort program. We had over 110 people enter the draw today for that winner. We drew the winner at random this morning. They are actually here live right now. I kid you not. So we're going to announce that at the very end, and you can't leave because someone is here, I can see your name and you are the winner, and I'm going to tell you who that is at the very end. But we also have a lot of prizes to give away throughout the whole of this live session. It's very active. So please shut down your other tabs, turn off your laptop. Don't turn off your laptop, turn off your phone, and basically make sure you give us your full attention because we're going to be actively participating in the chat. And a stat from Tony Robbins is if 50% of the people are multitasking whilst also here at a live session, you're only going to remember 10% of what you learn here today. But if you shut down everything else, stop multitasking, and actually give us your full attention and actually participate in the chat, share answers, get up on stage, you will retain over 90% of the workshop content. So do yourself a favor, give us your full attention, and let's jump in. So first of all, we have lots of secrets that we are going to share. What we're going to start with is a check-in, because we want to actually understand where you're at in your community strategy journey. Because if there's one thing we believe, it's that community strategy is the new currency. So we want to ask you, how confident do you feel in actually creating a community strategy? We have just launched a poll, and basically this poll asks you to rate your confidence level right now, of if you're somewhat confident, you're very confident, and then I would love you to submit that answer and basically understand where is everyone sitting here in this session. So obviously you could be on the early set, you're like, I've never created a community strategy, I've got no idea what it is that we're speaking about, or perhaps you've made a couple and you are feeling very confident. And we're actually going to hear from someone today, Michelle, who has put her hand up. So Michelle, I am so glad that you're here today because I know that you've created many community strategies before. So could you just share everyone a bit of a story about how you've created a community strategy and what that kind of gave you?
Yeah, thank you, Paz. So hi, I'm Michelle, guys. I joined Community Collective in cohort 3. So we're heading into cohort 7. It's been a long ride. Before I joined a Community Collective, well, I am still the co-founder of Naru. So we are a digital platform to help young people connect with one another over personal goals. And that really started off as a pipe dream of mine while I was in university. No community strategy. I did not know how to run a community. During the program, I obviously learned so much from the whole workshops and this community strategy that we did over the 8 weeks. So it was amazing. I also met someone else within the cohort. Her name was Sasmini. And so not only was I creating community strategy for Naru, I'll also join hands with her to create a community strategy for a community that she was running, which was a digital nomad community within the CMX community. So if you guys don't know what CMX is, they're like a American-based company that do like global events over like community stuff. But basically, she was running a chapter all by herself. There wasn't many events running, no tracking of metrics, attendance rates, engagement, we didn't know. It was very blurry. Operations was also very difficult. And so I got onboarded as a co-director. We created a community strategy together. And basically, we defined what success looked like, right? We were thinking, how many speakers did we want on every single year? What did we want for our members? What did we want our members to get out of these events? Directing our goals goals every single month, and then like what was our North Star, what was our like, you know, week to week goals that we wanted to hit, and understanding all of that, as well as our business objectives, which was like obviously increasing brand awareness, conversations. We wanted to foster a global network of like community managers who could learn, who are traveling around the world as digital nomads, but also learn from each other, from like local communities to like international like online communities, right? And so this community strategy really helped us understand the nuts and bolts and like all of the things that go into creating community from like 1 to like 100. And so we've hosted like 20 events over like 1.5 years, which is crazy. There's been almost 200 plus attendees, and all of those was also invited through the different social networks that we were in. We had that built into our community strategy where we're like, where are we going to advertise our events? You know, where our community is coming from? Like, where are these members at? Like, how do we get them into our community? Also, 40% plus of our community members actually rejoin our events, giving us like really great feedback, understanding that these people also wanted to become a part of community and engaged us to help them become speakers themselves. So I had about 2 or 3 members basically come up to me and say, hey, I want to join your speaking events. Like, how can I get a speaking gig through you? And that was like another end goal of ours, was to create that confidence around our members so that they could also put their hands up and say, I want to contribute to your event. And so that was
It's so
basically
beautiful,
in
Michelle.
like,
And like literally
yeah.
what you've just said there is like so many amazing elements and benefits of actually sitting down and doing the work, declaring what you're trying to achieve, writing out the key metrics, gathering your resources, and then seeing that all come to life over a year and a half. So please, everyone, give a huge round of applause. There's like a reaction in Gather Round. You can like share all the claps from that element. So just Michelle, thank you so much for all of those. If you have one piece of advice for everyone here creating community strategy, Michelle, what would be your one final sentence?
Plan big. Plan
Plan
big,
big.
like plan long term, like put your North Star all the way at the top. Even if you don't hit the moon, you hit the stars.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Michelle, and explaining why community strategy has been an element that's helped you in your journey. And so now we can really kind of dig into the crux of this, right? If you're feeling not very confident, hopefully you feel confident at the end. And if you're feeling super confident, well, then let's validate where you're at, because we believe that community is the new currency for not just building a great business, but actually impacting the lives of other people. In the age of AI, where ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity are taking over the world, and we don't even know who we can trust. Has anyone ever received like a LinkedIn DM, or you've seen a LinkedIn post with lots of M dashes? Post a yes in the chat if you've ever questioned, like, is that AI? Did that person actually write it? Am I speaking to a human anymore? Because we don't know what's happening out there. And with the increased cost of living and bills increasing and all these new updates of, hey, your pricing plan is becoming more expensive, it can be stressful. It can be hard to know what to focus on. If you're already building a community, the depth of change is real. And so we really want to make that a reality and really understand, because we are in a trust recession where trust is the hottest commodity. At a macro level, with all of these different elements at play, we want to make sure that we are trusting the right people and also building trust at scale. And so really, who are the companies that have mastered this? Well, Canva. Has anyone heard of this fantastic company? These slides are built on Canva right here. They have a community of over 150 million creators and has built trust at scale. We have seen Notion take Australia by storm at the moment with all of these in-person meetups, using connection and community at the forefront. Steph Claire Smith and Laura Henshaw. Previously, we interviewed them and heard how community and trust has been their biggest asset in the world, because they are building a business where all of these incredible women join their run clubs and want to be fit together. And so what we're seeing here is community at scale. But building one can be so tough, exhausting, and lonely, right? It can be so challenging to know what to focus on and where to allocate your resources. I felt exactly that way when I was building a community in RMIT. I've built over 6 different communities from scratch and scaled 3 existing ones now, and also helped over 400 companies build a community for their own purposes. But it wasn't always like this. This is a photo of my room in Fitzroy North. Literally looks like I was in prison in lockdown in Melbourne, and I was anxious and overwhelmed. I didn't understand what to focus on in my job. We had over 450 founders in this community reaching out to me for support because their businesses were either shutting down during the pandemic. And it was super tough. And sometimes you can kind of just feel like the world's burning around you and you don't know what you're doing, and you're just trying to convince yourself that it's all fine. I'm here to tell you that it's fine to say if it's not fine. And so really what I want to kind of share is the full story around how we grew a 17-person meetup to over 17,500 people in our audience and 700 in a community with zero budget and zero resources from day dot. And so buckle up, roll your shoulders back, bring your full attention, because this is how it started with 17 people at a meetup at the Commons in Cremorne in 2021. And this is where it is today. This is the same room at the Commons in Cremorne. And today we have over 17,500 people, but it wasn't always like that, because when we started, basically there was a time when I was working full-time at RMIT. And so my role was a community manager. I had to manage this co-working space. We had this community of founders. And I realized how freaking hard this job was and wanted to see if anyone else had the same experience. And so I reached out to a bunch of different people and said, hey, do you know anyone else who's a community manager and would like to share our stories and support and understand what is happening? And basically we looked at all of the different people in the startup space running accelerators and incubators. And I just reached out to them individually one-on-one. I just said, hey guys, we're thinking about running a meetup. I'm really curious if you're struggling building community during the pandemic at the moment. And all these different people replied. And then we said, hey, should we all try and catch up in person? Everyone was like, all right. I was like, do we want a dinner, a breakfast? We all voted on an evening on a Wednesday night. We rescheduled 4 times because of all the lockdowns. And eventually we gathered here at the Commons. That's me in a yellow shirt in the back. What a rookie. Who knew orange was going to take over my world at that time? There's even orange pillows in the back. It was like all meant to be. And really we sat there and we just had conversations around what we're struggling with and what goals we wanted to achieve. And so in this meetup, we really just connected as humans. It was not a business. We didn't have anything to sell, but what we started with was who. This is exactly what we mapped out. And I think this was the reason as to why we've had so much success today, is because we started not just serving a niche group, a niche cubed group. So to be niche is not enough anymore in the 21st century. Niche is you find a group of people you want to serve in a community and they have one trait in common. For example, we could have just started there and been niche and just said, we're just supporting community builders. That's a profession. You might be supporting marketers. That's a profession. You might be supporting lawyers. That's a profession. You could be niche squared, which is kind of getting there, but still not enough in today's age, and pick 2 traits that your members have in common in order to join this community. And we could have said, all right, it's just community builders in Melbourne. We picked a profession trait and a location trait, and that would be niche squared, and we're getting a little bit closer there, but it still was not enough. This was, I think, the key decision we made that made us a differentiator, where we said, we're going to be niche cubed. You have to have 3 traits in common in order to join this community. The bar is really high. This is the criteria. And you have to have a community builder profession in Melbourne as a location and in the startup space in a vertical industry. And what did that mean? It was like connecting 1,000 Spider-Mans in New York who all have sane Spidey centers. And we're like, oh my God, you get it. We know exactly what we're here to talk about. So when we brought everyone together, it went viral. They were like, I know all these other Spider-Mans, community builders in the startup space in Melbourne, who would benefit from this group. It was so easy to refer. And it's like if Batman came across this meetup, Batman's like, oh, I can't go, but I know so many other Spider-Mans can. So it wasn't just for superheroes, right? We got so niche cubed and so specific, and then spent a lot of time chatting with them. So over a year, we gathered once a month. We decided it was going to be Zoom because now we were multi-locational. We started meeting people in Sydney and eventually opened up the different locations. And we just had these dinners, and that's me sitting there chatting with these people around, what are your challenges? What goals are you trying to achieve? And what support are you looking for? It was a full research phase to understand what was happening in Melbourne at the time. But what we didn't realize is that we would quickly continue to grow because more and more people knew that there were other community builders out there. And so we started to grow rapidly across all over the world in multiple cities, with everyone signing up through an Airtable registration link. Everyone would have to apply to get access to our meetup. We would have to approve them. And then I would personally email them and say like, hey, Stacey, thanks for applying. Here's the invite for the next Zoom. Are you free? What topics would you like to learn about? Because it's just building relationships at scale. Okay. And eventually we had over 950 people emailing us or asking for more support and coaching and mentoring on community building. So I quit my job, registered the Community Collective as a company in 2022, and then interviewed them all again for 3 months what they would like to learn. And basically off the bat, we launched our first ever 8-week training program, a community cohort. This is a photo of me over the last 4 years, posting a photo every time we've launched a new program. I've literally grown up with the Community Collective and have constantly interviewed all of the people that we serve and asked them what they need to always make sure it's relevant. And as a result, our cohorts have increased from 36 people in the first one to over 100 in every single cohort. And now we've ran 7 in all time. And so the Community Collective today spans multiple cities with multiple ambassadors and hosts gathering all around the world. And we have now trained staff at companies from Google, Canva, Notion, MYOB, Founders Factory Africa, to build community and understand how do you build a community strategy. If you told me back in 2021 when I was sitting in that prison that we were going to be all over the front page, understanding that we are building communities as passionate as Canva, I would not have believed you. And this is not an overnight success. This is years in the making of hard work and being diligent and consistent. And as a result, we've attracted speakers from all over the world, including Seth Godin, Steph Claire Smith and Laura Henshaw, Derek Sivers, the head of community at Google, Calendly, Zapier, Notion, Slack, and Burning Man. Yes, the American conference. No, it's not a conference, like festival, community Burning Man. So this has been a monumental journey. And I'm going to walk you through the exact definitions and decisions that I've made to get here. Because when Jess Walker and I sat in a butter room and Seth Godin was at the door, it really hit home that we have built something that people at the top of their game are paying attention to. Seth Godin himself says that community is the strategic driver and the skill of the future, and this is worth spending time on. So to walk you through the exact crux of what is community and how did we build this and what was our understanding to have this type of effect on the world. As a result, we've built a business. We've employed over 15 people. It has been my full-time job. I'm still here today wearing orange. It looks like a QR code on me, doesn't it? You could like scan that. It's hilarious. And basically, I want to just share everything to help you do the same. Okay. So are we ready? Post a yes in the chat if you're ready, you're with me, and you're ready to learn about what even is community, because we're going to get into the workshop of this. Okay. So grab your piece of paper, your pen, roll your shoulders back. Yes, 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 Tennille. Alex. Oh my God. Sanchi's here. Our first ever employee at the Community Collective. Sanchi, love your work. How exciting. So let's jump into the workshop section. I want to unpack this story and really kind of give you the key frameworks. I'm trying to make community a complex topic simple and make it understandable. And some of this stuff you might go, Paz, I know this isn't science. But the reason why it's so simple is the science itself. So let's make sure we're all on the same page of how we define what a community is in the context of a business. So we define a community as a group of people who are brought together by a shared interest or location and who connect on a regular basis. This group of people support each other. Now, the most important part of this definition is on a regular basis. A community is not a once-off event that you ran for a group of farmers and then closed it down. A community is not your newsletter that 500 people subscribe to. They are amazing audience gathering tactics, but it is not a community. So we need to understand what is the difference between an audience and a community. So we like using the triangular model to really understand an audience. Every company should have an audience. Not every company should have a community. Controversial. So an audience is a passive involvement. It's a group of people who are consuming a brand's content. They are loyal followers on your Instagram. They're the subscribers reading your newsletter. They're the website visits on your blog. Like, these people are your advocates. Some of them might have I guess a long-term relationship of following the brand, and others might just be once. And so we quantify the audience. So we have 17,500 in our audience. That's from all our social media, all our newsletter subscribers. It is like the entire network. It's all our community members, the ambassadors, like everyone in our audience that we can quantify. And then once an audience becomes a community is when you enter the circular model. So we've gone from the triangle into the circular model. And basically we now have a space where people connect on a regular basis. They can talk to each other. Your newsletter subscribers can't email each other. Okay. That's a massive breach of like data. So I hope you don't do that. But basically a community, you've created like an online Slack. They're in the WhatsApp. You've got this regular dinner club. It's consistent. There's this rhythm and people are contributing and supporting each other. To give you a really great example, has anyone heard of Broadsheet? Post me in the chat if you know Broadsheet. They are an incredible publication. We'll put the link to Broadsheet in the chat so you can go and read all of their amazing publications across Australia and soon London. And I sat down with the co-founder, Nick Shelton, for coffee, and we had to like pick a venue. And he was like, where do you want to go? And I was like, I can't pick the venue for the founder of Broadsheet. Like, they literally review restaurants and cafes for a living. I was like, this is so stressful. What if I get it wrong? And I was like, what about Napier Quarter in Fitzroy? He was like, I love that place. I was like, thank God. We like walk into Napier Quarter. I'm like in Fitzroy. I'm like so excited to meet like the founder of Broadsheet. And I like go in. I like sit down. I was like, oh, I'm here to meet Nick Shelton. And the whole restaurant turns around and goes, Nick Shelton? Oh my God, he's coming today. He's the founder of Broadsheet. We love Nick Shelton. Nick walks in the door. All of the restaurant, like bar staff are like, Nick, how you going? Do you want the regular, like the orange spritz? Like, hey, I've got it right here for you. I was just like, cool. And we sit down and I was like, Nick, like, what is community of Broadsheet? You've built this amazing audience of millions of readers and advocates in your network. Like, what is community at the company? He said, well, Paz, we've actually created Broadsheet Access. And I was like, wow. And this is a great example of how a company turned their audience into a private community to increase new referrals, generate revenue, and also have a broader impact on the lives that they are serving. So they created Broadsheet Access. It's a private membership. You get this club in Melbourne or Sydney where you get to talk to all these other people, and you get this private space where you get to go and dine at the best restaurants in the city. You get all access to tables that are not available to the public, that Broadsheet, like Nick himself, has relationships with like Cumulus and just all these amazing places. And you get to dine and get the best food, and you get to make friends. If you're new to Melbourne and Sydney, you get to join and then dine and connect with all of these other people and express and share your culinary dreams and desires. So what's really cool about this is an audience has successfully turned into a private community. And as a result, Broadsheet has a huge, huge capability of serving people on a deeper level. Now, where it gets really cool is when we started the Community Collective, we did not say, hey, we want to build a business. We want to build a global orange movement, although I'm really obsessed with the orange. Yes, it is my favorite color. My whole wardrobe is orange. But basically, I've now dissected why it became a movement. It outgrew something from just Melbourne to over 18 countries. And we have members gathering in countries that I have never even been to. So yes, go orange, Tammy. We love. Basically, when an audience in the triangular model turns into a circular model of a community and then turns into the snowflake model of a movement. This is when you have self-sustaining involvement from the members themselves. And we're just like nerding out on the infrastructure of community here. And this is like how Burning Man operates, right? You go to Burning Man. There's nothing there. It's in the middle of the desert. All they supply is ice. There's no money. There's no food. There's no drinks. All the people have to bring everything themselves. They have to set up the stages, set up the acts, do the music, like everything. And thousands of people travel around the world to go to Burning Man. And there is, of course, the Burning Man organizer. We met him in Cohort 7 last year, and he sits at the middle of this. This is Stephen Rasper. He's the Burning Man. He's the founding member of Burning Man, and he runs the project. And basically, he then connects with all of these Burning Man organizers around. He doesn't connect with the community themselves. And all these organizers engage their networks to then go to Burning Man and build all of these different elements. And then all of these networks connect with other networks to then build Burning Man themselves. And it operates now at the central event in America, but then all year round, burners catch up all around the world to basically talk about the culture and the values and the philosophy. It's kind of like a city. And so basically what has happened here, even at the Community Collective, when you are at the center, you're not a community manager anymore. I hate this term, community manager. We're not managing anything. We're not project managing and telling people what to do and having a dictatorship. This is a central infrastructure, and we are community architects. We are architecting a container for people to step up as leaders and co-create the space together. We are architecting a container. So when you sit at the middle here and then engage core members of the community, not team, not subcontract, not people you've hired, members themselves, and they become leaders who then engage the rest of the community, this is when you create a movement. Now, you don't have to build a movement, right? You don't have to build a community. But if you want to, this is the infrastructure. And this is the exact infrastructure that Seth Godin used himself to even create a book launch. He organized a container for leaders to step up and organize their own book launches all around the world. So then they submitted meetups. There was over 180 meetups in all these different countries. Seth was not there, but they gathered without him. This is where you let go of control and you build a self-sustaining movement. Because if you give a man to fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And so if you teach your members how to gather around and organize an event, you create one memorable moment, which is beautiful. But if you teach your members how to actually organize these events, you create one viral movement. And so this is the art and science of letting go of control and building something that can outgrow anything that you might create. So I want to ask you a question. Please post in the chat. Why would a business even bother building a community? Okay, we're all going to build a community strategy today. Why would we do that? What can a business experience as a result? What are some of the benefits? I'd love, please post in the chat now. If also you want to raise your hand at any point and actually just come on, unmute, tell me a story, tell me a benefit. I would love to hear, because you are welcome to also participate and share your knowledge. For anyone that does jump on the main stage and unmute and share, we're going to be giving away free books from Derek Sivers. It's a digital book, so you'll get an email after this event if you've spoken on stage, just to say thank you. Amazing. In the meantime, we've got make money. Yes, Jeff, absolutely. More revenue. Brand awareness. Alex, divergent perspectives, 100%. Tennille has shared growth, customers helping customers, ticket deflection. We have advocates to connect like-minded people. Helen says more impact. Absolutely, Helen. This is at the crux of community. It's doing something together that has a greater impact on the world and hopefully leaving the earth in a better place. We have trust and loyalty. Listen to the experiences of the members. Absolutely. We get so much, right? And so you are all on the money here. It's retention, new ideas. We're getting a feedback, all this brand awareness. Think about all the generated content from members that the company can then share. We have that impact, referrals, money, and content. People write about their experiences. So we're all like kind of bought in. We're like, all right, Paz, like I get the value, you know, it's pretty extraordinary, but it's not that simple. And so we get asked this question all the time. I've been sitting in conversations a lot this year with companies who are like, Paz, my marketing's not working. I'm doing paid ads. People aren't responding. We're doing sales calls. I'm not getting any responses. Customers, I have a lot of high churn. I keep hearing about this community thing. Like, should we build one? Like, do I just open a WhatsApp? Like, should I run an event? Like, what is it? So I'm going to give you the 4 key areas of our diagnostic framework to work out if you should build a community. Now, if you've already worked this out, just tick along and then use this framework to help other people in the world answer this question. So the first element are the business goals. If we're building community for a business, we need to understand what the business is trying to achieve. So for example, we can use Broadsheet as that example. They sat down and said, all right, well, the business has to generate a certain revenue goals this year. We have to have great content and we want high brand awareness and we really want to impact the hospitality industry as well. And you go, okay, amazing. And that is just one side of the cookie. So this is our community cookie, and you always have to have 2 cookies for it to be successful. And on one side, it is what is the business trying to achieve? And the side, You can't have a community if no one's in it. It's pretty boring. So you have to then look at the audience demand. You have to map out that niche cubed member persona with 3 traits in common and go talk to them. Interview 50 of them and ask them, what are your goals? What are your challenges? What support do you need? And then ask them, are you interested in connecting with other like-minded people who are in that group and supporting each other on your challenges and helping you achieve your goals? If everyone says no, don't build a community. If everyone says yes, fantastic, go on to Community Cookie. Because once you find that sweet spot in the middle between what a business is trying to achieve and what the members are trying to achieve, you can find the magic in the middle. Yes, Tennille, we're going to all have to go bake cookies after this. Oh, Tennille, you're joining cohort 8. We can go have cookies together there. So you also need to have sufficient resources, right? So you've got the business goals, tick. We've got the audience demand, tick. Now we need to have the people, the time, the money, the strategy, the know-how, and the skills to actually make sure it is successful. It doesn't just happen overnight, okay? And then we also want to do landscape mapping. We want to map out the competitors in the space who are already building community. If you're trying to build a founder accelerator, there's already 200 in Australia. Should you just have a partnership strategy instead and actually go to that audience that already exists? Or if you go, actually, what I'm building is unique and it's different and it's going to add value, then fantastic. Because when you find all those elements and you see a clear pathway, then that is when we've got the green light to build a strategy, right? It's just like having an assumption. We are scientists and community architects. Our assumption is that people are going to want to join this community. You need to go test that before you build the community. I want you to spend no money. If you already have a community, fantastic, buckle up. This section is for you because this is where we start with the strategy, okay? So now we have a green light. We know what community is. We know why we would build it for the business. And now we've got a clear indication as to why this decision would be great for us. And now we want to understand exactly how to do that. So we are going to share the template link to just a one-pager of the community strategy. It's going to be in the link in the chat right now. You can go and make a copy of that. It is there. We have created it just for you. And basically, you can just log into a Canva account if you've got Google set up or just via your email, and then click make a copy. And you can have this up on the side of your template and basically fill it out as we go and just make notes. It's not going to be perfect. We're just going to do a rough draft. And I'm going to walk through these 5 sections together. So let's just make sure everyone opens the template. We're just going to make sure we have a moment. I'm going to put on a song to get you all up into the template. And then once you've all opened it, please click yes. And then when we're all ready and we leave no person behind, okay, we're all in this together. We've got lots of yeses. Fantastic. All right, we are going to now start unpacking the active workshop section where I would love for you to leave with just like a rough draft. And if you already have a community strategy, fantastic. It's obviously, the start of 2026. We're still in Q1, the first quarter. So basically, if you already have a strategy, I'd like you to update yours, okay? And make sure it's still relevant. We update our strategy every 6 months at the Community Collective. Literally 2 days ago, Enos and I sat down with the team and we all sat down and we said, all right, these have been our goals and metrics for the last 6 months. We analyzed all of them if we were on track or off track, and then we updated all of them. So if you have your existing strategy or you've already got goals and metrics, like amazing, grab those for this activity today. And I want you to start like questioning if they're still relevant, because this is not a one and done exercise. You should do this process every 6 months because you don't want to end up like Blockbuster. If the world changes and you don't, you go down. But we're not going down because we're staying together. And we're staying together as if we are fantastic chefs, okay? So a really great chef, if they want to learn a new recipe, they want to master something. They're like, I want to master the art of sushi. They could go about this one way. They just go, sushi, I could make sushi. I might just grab some rice, grab some seaweed, and I'll just like roll it up, and I'll probably get an okay result. But if a chef was a pure master, they would go and actually find someone else who has mastered the art of sushi and just go ask them, hey, what recipe do you use? What ingredients? What's the quantities? Can you walk me through step by step? What did you do there? Why did you do that? What did you do afterwards? And what was the prep? So now this new chef can learn from the experienced chef who is already a master in this area and just simply replicate the recipe. Because once you learn how to create sushi, you can then just replicate it again and again without thinking. But the first time you do it, like it's a bit clunky, you're trying to roll the rice, you're like, how do they do it in the shop? It's always perfect. So the fastest way to success in anything you want to achieve in life, find someone who has mastered the goal you're trying to achieve, ask them for the recipe and replicate it. Obviously, you're going to add your own flavor. You're going to like maybe sub in a different ingredient. You might be in a different type of kitchen and context. So you're going to be the master of exactly what you're trying to create, but stop wasting time and reinventing the wheel. When I was in London, I was speaking at a conference, and I was there, and I had to run this presentation with the head of community at Calendly. You know, like the Calendly booking link, like that platform. So this is Jillian there. She's the head of community at Calendly, manages these they're huge. The size of the community is like ridiculous. And Jillian and I had to sit there and we had to present a community strategy for this company. And we like built this community strategy together. And we were presenting it back to this company in London. And Jillian used to be an architect. And a really great architect will sit down with a client before they build the building, right? And so what we did is basically presented this community strategy, but we sat down with the client and we asked them all these questions of like, what are you looking for in this community? And like, what would this be? What is that going to have an impact on? What happens here in this space? We didn't just go build it in silo and then present it back. We had this co-creation process. Similar to chefs finding great recipes, you build together. But Jillian asked the client this phenomenal question that I'm going to ask you today. And it was, if your community was a building, what would it be? If your community was a building, what would it be? If you're creating and architecting this space, what would it be? Would it be this like amazing monument that you just walk past and you're just like jaw dropped, and you go in together and there are these private tours and you go in these small groups? Perhaps your community is a library. It's this like safe space for learning. There's like these little corners. They can just grab a resource, go and learn quietly. Or there's like these group elements as well. Maybe it's like a school and you have these rigid, constant, like 5 days a week where you all join. There's this teacher and it's this group learning environment. Maybe it's like a theme park where it's like a DI adventure. It's kind of like, hey, here it is. Just go in, walk, grab a friend and follow it out and figure it out yourself. Is it an aquarium where people just go and wonder at these wild creatures that get brought together that they've never seen before? And this space gives them access to something so crazy. Does anyone know the name of this building? Does anyone know the name of this chateau? I will literally send you a book gift if you get this. But this is a chateau in France. I really want to hear. Ines can't answer because she's French and she'll know the answer. But if anyone knows what this chateau is, it is one of the most famous chateau. Oh, Chateau Dumas is so close, so close. Versailles, no. Yes, Vienna, it's Chambord. It's Chateau de Chambord. And so Chateau de Chambord is like the top 5th biggest palace in Europe. And it's this insane chateau. It's wild. It's like the sister of Versailles. So Vienna will send you an ebook gift after this to your inbox via email. And my friend actually got married here at Chambord last year. We went to this chateau and it's insane. Yeah, I know, Laura. It was wild. She got married. I'll put a photo in the LinkedIn group chat of us at the wedding. But this chateau, you go and it's just this prestige monument. It's a heritage listed building. Nothing has changed. Does her friend have a brother? Yeah, she's got 2 brothers. Or is your community like a conference? Is it this kind of huge multi-stage DIY, huge schedule performance? Maybe not like South by Southwest Sydney because it just got shut down, but potentially a different conference. Or is it like a day spa? They walk in, they're greeted at the door, they leave feeling so rejuvenated and just can't wait to come back. Okay, so I ask all of you, if your community was a building, which one would it be and why? If your community was a building, which one would it be and why? And please post in the chat. And it could be anything. It could be, I ran this workshop for Launch Vic, the government agency in Victoria, in Australia, 2 weeks ago. And someone told me that their community was like a tent. They were like just starting. They like had a couple resources. They like did it together. It was like maybe might blow away in the wind, but hopefully it could become this big campsite. So we've got people here of the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. Yes, Tennille Gaudi's artwork is incredible. A museum, a dojo. Helen, I love that. If anyone wants to raise their hand and share more, I'd love to hear why your community would be a museum or a dojo or the Sagrada Familia. We've got a sanctuary in nature. Stunning. Okay, Laura, please. I would love to hear from you. So Laura, we can get you up on stage. Yeah, Laura, tell us, what is your community?
I think hopefully it's not too windy. Sorry, I'm outside. My community is definitely a spa. So I'm building a space for women where they can like chill out and come together and feel comfortable talking about sex and the shame that society puts a lot of pressure on us for having around sex and our sexual well-being. So like that spa bathhouse vibe is 100% like where my community, I believe, sits.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, like the spa. Do you know Bryony Cole?
Yeah. I did her sex tech school.
Oh, amazing. She was a speaker in cohort 1. But I love that. Okay, very cool. Thank you so much for sharing, Laura. I can't wait to see and experience the spa community. How exciting. I think, and do this activity as if it is now. Like, if your community was a building right now, which one would it be? Because I think our cohort program is kind of like a giant conference. If there's multi-speakers, you're probably not going to get to everything. You go, it's time-bound, and then you leave. It's not always on. It happens once with a big group of people, and people come back year after year. People have gone through our program like 6 times. But in the future, I'd love to create the Community Collective as like a retreat center. I want to build a physical retreat center. I want people to come to the Surf Coast and be in nature and be on retreat and learn in person and have these beautiful like meditation and yoga. Like I'd love to create that experience. But it's not that right now. And so I want you to do this activity is, what is your building right now and what will it be as well in the future? Because those 2 answers will also be different. So of course, a great architect will sit down with their client and say, hey, what are you looking for in this building? They don't just go and build the house that the architect wants to live in. Imagine then giving it to the client. They're like, I didn't want a pool on the roof. We've got kids. Like they've just screwed it up and wasted so much money. And so really thinking about who you are building for, okay? You cannot build community for people. You have to build it with them. So a great architect will have consultations with the client. So you're a community architect. You're going to have really great consultations with your members throughout the whole process of building your community and asking them what they would like. So the first part of our community strategy is we always start with the vision. We want to understand what is the 10-year impact that you seek to create in the world through this community. It's a vehicle for change, because a vision is a picture of the future that produces passion. You should be able to share your vision and have these people like, yes, I'm a part of that. The vision at Kick is they want to redefine the relationship that women have with their body and health and fitness. And you just go, yes, I love that. Our vision is to lead a global movement that establishes community building as the most impactful business strategy. And there's no other way to build a successful company. And so what is the 10-year impact that you want to have? What is that one guiding sentence for your community's future impact? I'd love to hear. Please post in the chat. We're going to take just 60 seconds now. If anyone wants to raise their hand and win a book, you absolutely can do that. So please post in the chat, what is the high level impact, the vision that you seek? It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'd love to hear from a couple people. listen to Hermanos Guterres like all day. I love him. What a hit. Yeah, Mariana. I saw them live twice in Melbourne with my mum, and then my mum bought me the record of Hermanos Guterres, and like I just play it on our record player like every day. I'm just like jamming out. So good. Anyway, our vision. So we've got to provide flexible and affordable workspaces solutions for female founders. I love that. Incredible. Serve 2 million parents worldwide through future of work resources. Yes, Amy. We've got create a space where women are collectively empowered to own their pleasure. Yes, Laura. We have Jonathan. We prototype a world of healthy partying and fun education. Let's all go hang out with Jonathan, go have a party. That sounds fun. 4% of global leaders have the energy and skills to lead regeneratively. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Very inspiring. This is your rock, right? Like your vision is your why. It's your reason. When you get lost and demotivated and you fall off the train, you must come back to this and share it constantly. So pop your vision in the template, because now we're going to go into the mission. So the vision says, what is our 10-year impact? The mission is, what is our 12-month? And so when we started the Community Collective, Melia, Rayner, and Jal and I sat down as co-founders, and we mapped out all of these ideas, right? And we came together and we wanted to understand what was our mission. When we interviewed the founder of Burning Man last year, it was so cool. He was like wearing this crazy hat with all these like tarot cards behind him. We were like, Stephen, tell us the mission of Burning Man. And he said, this community, hundreds of thousands of people around the world, stands for a culture that they feel proud of. Okay, like so cool. They are redefining society and living in a world that is not driven by money. It's a value exchange. And so when you're feeling inspired by that, you're like, okay, maybe I will go to Burning Man. Our mission is to businesses through our gold standard community building cohorts and coaching from down under. We are a global community, but we are through and through Australian. And so really that kind of sings out into our 12-month impact, and you can see how it gets more detailed, right? I've created the offering in which we'd like to serve people and actually achieve that. So now I'd like to ask you, what is the impacts that your community is trying to achieve in 12 months? Okay, you have that 10-year vision, but what is your mission in just 12 months? Would love to hear it in the chat. And also, please, someone raise their hand. Tell me what your mission is. I'd love to hear. I'm going to close the activity, put us all on an equal playing field. If anyone would like to raise their hand, Catalina, please tell us. Absolutely. What is your mission?
I would love to have a retreat of Spanish-speaking women.
Muy bien. ¿Hablas español?
Sí.
Genial, genial. We will do it in English for everyone else, but tell us more.
Yeah, look, I started like realizing that there is there are many spaces in English for women to connect, but I haven't found any like really meaningful space for Spanish-speaking women to get together and really have like the very deep and meaningful conversations and express together and dance together and and just go through more holistic activities and experiences together than the usual. Like usually we're like full on dressed up and makeup and music and pumping and like really, so it's like a space to just kind of remove everything and just get together and connect like at a really human level, and that's what I want to create.
Wow, Catalina. I know we'll all listen to reggaeton and bailar. I love it. I lived in Spain for a year, and yeah, it's such a beautiful culture. So thank you so much for sharing that mission. I feel like you are a really great person to bring that to life. And please keep us updated as to how it goes of you creating that, because you've really got to, think about why you're doing what you're doing. And so once you've kind of mapped out that 10-year vision, you've got that 12-month mission, we really need to start to think about how do we explain to people, right? If they are going to understand what we're building, we need to have a really clear description. So this should be a very simple one, but if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. If you say, hey, you want to join my community for humans, and we're going to do cool things and understand and do a backflip, and then maybe we'll work on something. Paz, what the hell was that? It's so unclear. You want it to be clear and simple. MYOB, they have a community for accountants to share resources and understand how to do their tax more easily. Very self-explanatory. David Perel, very, very famous founder in America. He's the founder of Rite of Passage. He's got an incredible podcast. He interviewed Seth Godin and all of these incredible authors about how they write. And he built a community at Rite of Passage, which was, how can you write better? Very simple, I understand. So a really good framework to use is just having one sentence that is, we serve who to do what so that they can achieve this outcome. All right, so screenshot this. We're going to send you all the slides after this as well as a PDF and the template and all the links. So really kind of get that key description down pat, and then really think about how would you describe your community, right? How would you describe your community? Because you should be able to just stop someone on the street and tell them what it is and really understand. So I'm going to let you just put that in the template at the top left under who we are, and that is the key description. And of course, who we serve, right? You're going to write that down, just kind of really get clear on like the member that you're serving, make it the niche cubed. They must have 3 traits in common to really have an impactful community, especially if you're starting out. But of course, if that's an existing community, then you can write down who they are and have that clear criteria. So now we really want to get into the details, okay? There's no point having a mission if you don't have a way, a niche in which you can achieve it, because a goal without a plan is just a dream. And we don't want to be on our deathbeds regretting not bringing our dreams to life. So I'm dedicating my life to help you build this community. And a really great formula to do that is you start with your vision, your mission, and then we get down into the goals and the metrics. So we're going to use like the last kind of 12 minutes of this workshop to really dig into the goals and metrics. Now, you're not going to leave with this like fully defined and all the timeframes and the exact elements. This is just a rough draft. We're just getting a really quick brainstorming activity here. I can't sit down with you one-on-one and like walk you through this right now. But the gift that I can give you is really understanding picking your goals. And now you can pick 2 or 3 goals and really understanding which area is going to be important for you to choose. So you could have growth goals, number of new members, maybe it's brand awareness. You could have engagement goals. I want retention, attendees at events. Maybe you have impact goals. I want transformational stories. I want, money raised for charity. I want people feeling happy about their life, right? So I want you to just pick 3 that are going to serve you well. And then we pick metrics. Obviously there are going to be some growth metrics, there are going to be some engagement metrics, and there's going to be some impact metrics. And the less metrics, the better. I don't want more than 3 in each bucket. Honestly, you could have 6 and that is enough in total, okay? I don't want you measuring 25 things. Can you explain the difference between branding and marketing? Absolutely, Jonathan. So you might have a branding goal that is just brand awareness and simply we want to become thought leaders in this space. We want to create this community because we're going to create the best white papers in education or all about community building. Whereas marketing, like branding is a subsidiary of marketing, whereas marketing might say, hey, we want incredible social media. We want lots of content. We are going to have all of these different elements that kind of play into marketing as a result of building this community. So the reason we have this community is because we want new referrals and different channels that didn't exist before. So fairly similar. It's a couple of different nuance differences, but you're going to pick, you're probably not going to have branding and marketing. You probably just have one of them. Then this is the hardest part, right? This is the hardest part. And this is why we spend 8 weeks with our members digging into metrics, giving you feedback, right? So you're going to pick some of the best metrics that measure whether you're on track or off track for hitting those goals. And so some of the metrics you might have is just retention. What percentage of members come back to our community on a regular basis? You might just have an upsell rate. How many community members actually bought something that our business sells? How many times have they generated sales? You might have referrals. How many new people find out about your product or service as a result of referrals? And so we're going to put a link to the chat of all these metrics explained because I can't go through all of them. So we have written this white paper for Discourse, this company. We interviewed like 50 industry leaders about how they measure metrics. So I'm going to let you do some reading in your own time, listen to Hermanos Guiterres, and you can nerd out on that. The biggest thing I'll say, this is what everyone gets wrong until they get it right, and then you never go back. This has been the biggest decision that has saved our life and literally helped us build this movement over 17,500 people across 18 countries. We made our metrics clear, committed, inspiring, aligned, and numerical. If you just made it numerical, you're like 80% ahead of the general population. And numerical is if you want higher retention, how much? By when? It's got to be time bound and numerical. So I want 20% of members to renew their membership every month. That is a great metric. So you're going to go away and fill out the rest of your template of like what metrics are going to be aligned. I'm going to walk you through what the North Star metric is. There will be a template in your template. How meta is that? That has, this is like the Q3 metrics report that I use. I just built this on Canva. I send this to our advisory board. They're like my boss and basically report on our metrics every quarter. And so this is, if you just do this one thing from this workshop, like stop what you're doing, just listen to this one piece of advice, okay? If you just implement this one piece of advice after this workshop, like this is the biggest gift I can give you. Set your metrics and then report on them every quarter and mark them if they are on track or off track, or if it's monthly, weekly, probably not daily, but pick a reporting cadence where you're going to understand, are you hitting that 20% retention rate or are you not? And if you mark if they're on track or off track, so you cannot have a vague metric. You can't say, I want to impact people's life. That is so vague. You're better than that. You know it. So do the work and actually make your metrics worthwhile. Now, the North Star metric. Your North Star metric basically says, hey, if we achieve just this one thing this year and nothing else, we're going to have impact on our members and we're going to have a successful business. We're going to generate revenue to be financially sustainable, and we've done a really good job. So your North Star metric, so for example, at the Community Collective, our North Star metric is we would love to serve 250 people through our cohort program per year. If we do that, the business will keep going. We're not going to go under. And we would have had a huge impact on 250 companies around the world. That's amazing. Your North Star metric says, if you don't have time for anything else, just focus on this, because this is the decision that you need to make. There's a lot of meat in there. I'm just giving you a taster. I'm not going to build your whole strategy for you today in just 75 minutes. But I've written out an entire example of a completed strategy. I think this is like our strategy 2 years ago or something. So these are all just examples of how you can have great metrics that are really simple and then also have just really clear one sentence elements. I don't want a 50-page vision that no one can remember, because the biggest thing that you can have is focus. You can do 1,000 things. You've probably already overcommitted yourself on too many things. It's really easy to do in the modern world, but focus is the art of knowing what to ignore. When shit hits the fan and you don't have enough resource, you've run out of money, or you need to take care of family, if all you do is your North Star metric, then that gives you focus. So, my friends, there's a lot of questions coming through. Absolutely. That is the end of our workshop, but the beginning of your journey. You can obviously take this template. We'll send you some playlists. I've actually gone and written music on classical guitar. I've recorded all these new songs over the break, and I'm going to send you the playlist after this so that you can listen to concentration music and complete your strategy in your own time, because we're not going to do it all in one. But I'd love to open the floor and just hear any questions from all of you of what is not clear and what would you like to dive into more. So how this is going to work, we're just going to open up the floor to any questions. We've got about 3 to 4 minutes, so not a lot of time, so we're going to keep it succinct. If you have a question in the chat, amazing. If you want to put your hand up, you can just raise your hand and we'll come through to you. So Catalina, what is your question? Please feel free to ask.
Thank you. When you showed the diagram with like lots of like when you reach to a smaller community and to reach bigger communities, you actually got me thinking of if to focus on the practitioners, like the holistic therapists that work with the members, or if I should work like should I work with this community first and then the members after, or just go straight to the members? You got me thinking about that. So how do you feel that I can make a decision?
Yes. So is your question, how do you know whether to just serve the members or actually create leaders within the community to co-create the space with you? Is that the crux of it?
Yes.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is people usually focus on the wrong thing when building community. They start with like getting a circle platform, like designing it and then inviting people to it. All you need to do is gather, and you just have these regular gatherings. So identify who you're serving, reach out to 10 of them this week, and organize a time to gather and talk about something that's meaningful for all of you and spend time there. And then we use the 1-9-90 rule in community building. So the 1-9-90 rule says, put that in the chat, 1-9-90 rule says 1% of that group are going to be like super engaged. Like, Catalina, me encanta. Like, I love what you're building. 9% are going to be like, this is pretty cool. I'm here. I'm active. 90% are the kind of learners. They're like in the periphery. They're a bit passive, but they're there. Don't focus on the 90% who are like not disengaged, but not super engaged. Focus on the 1%. Focus on that one person who's like, oh my God, when is the next dance? Like, I really want to be there. And call that person after the event and be like, hey, Sally, I'm so glad you're at the gathering. I'm organizing the next one. You've got any ideas to make it relevant? Like, what should we do? If you just focus on that 1%, Catalina, and that's your decision-making process, then the rest will flow a lot easier. So thank you for the question. We're going to move on to Mariana. Please, what is your question? Just in one sentence.
I was just wondering what comes first. Is it the North Star metric or the goal 1, 2, 3?
Do the goals first, and you do your North Star metric at the end. So I like to grab a big piece of paper, I fold it in half, and then I write like, we just have growth goals and impact goals at the Community Collective now. And then I'll write down like all the things that we could achieve in growth and all the things that we could achieve in impact. Just do a massive like brainstorming session. And then I grab an orange highlighter and I start highlighting the priorities and then numbering them like, okay, this is the priority, this is the priority, based on what has worked on the last 3 years. So if you're starting new, you just pick your priority by what you think. But if you have existing data, your community strategy is so much easier. You just look at what's worked in the past and double down on that. And then at the end, I've got my growth, I've got my impact, I've like circled the metrics. Then I go, all right, if I just did one of these and it achieved both impact and revenue for the Community Collective, what would that be? And then that becomes the North Star. So you do that at the end.
Yeah, gotcha. So that means that the North Goal Star could be a repetitive goal from one of the 3.
Yeah. And you take it out of the goals and then you put it as your North Star. And then that's the one.
Gotcha.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, we have one more question in the chat here from Jackie. Paz, you spoke earlier about people returning to do your cohort year after year. How do you do that if the content is staying the same? Oh my God, Jackie, I literally went and asked all of our alumni. I was like, why do you want to come back to our program again? And they said that our 8-week program it's not a course, right? It's not like, here's the content, here's a certificate, you're done. But basically it is a community and we show up as a group twice a year, 8 weeks at a time, and we learn together. It's like a conference. Can anyone post in the chat a yes if you've ever read a book a second time, you've watched a movie twice, or you've attended a conference more than once? I've gone to South by Southwest Sydney 3 times. It's the same conference, but there's new speakers, new content, the same. It's all about business or gaming or music, like the same theme. But I go and I'm there and I'm present and I'm inspired. I have these conversations and then I go and implement what I learned for the rest of the year. Our cohort is the same. We have members who've come back 6 times because they will learn from all the new speakers. We change the topics. I learn new tactics. We bring in different lenses. And also the people are different. We have 100 people per program who gather all around the world who join. And so that is why people come back again and again. We don't have a membership model at the Community Collective. We're a cohort that shows up twice a year, 8 weeks at a time. And then we don't bother you for the rest of the year so you can go and implement and build your community.
Okay, cool.
Amazing. So
Thanks,
glad.
mate.
No worries. So, gang, we have a minute left, and I've got to announce a winner, which I'm really excited about. But we've got a couple extra things. So we're gonna, I'm just gonna give you 5 minutes extra of my time and run until 20 past. So we're gonna go over. So you've unlocked some extra time of this workshop. And if you have to leave, like the official end time of this event is now. If you have to leave, off you go. No stress. You'll get the recording and all the resources if you need to go on. But if you want to stay, post a yes in the chat. If you'd like to stay and you want to hear the winner, you want to hear the next steps of the workshop, I'm going to give you some extra bonus. Okay, let's stay. Woo! I miss Butter's like round of applause effects. I'll work out how to do that on Gather Round. All right, we're going to take 60 seconds, and I have a important question to ask all of you, which is, what is your big takeaway from today? All right, we're going to take 60 seconds. I'm going to put some music on, and I want to hear what is the biggest takeaway from today. Just put it in the chat, and we're all going to learn about what we just. Yes, we do need heroes in our lives, people, masters, Olympians who want to go to the Olympics. Athletes are not going to go train with people who are not at that level. They're going to go train with gold medalists. If you have a dream and you want to achieve something, you need to go surround yourself by heroes and masters who've already done it so you can learn the recipe. And I love that we're all learning here today because, yes, the 1990 rule is a great takeaway. Be specific about how you want to drive impact, connect the mission to the metrics. Absolutely, Andrew. We have a community architect mode activated. Yes, Isaac from Nigeria. Great, CC, and love to see you here again. See, CC, I love CC, and so just come back for everything. Start small and find out what you need from before. Yes, Fatia. And also focus on the 1% people. Fantastic. If the biggest gift I can give you is focus on asking yourself who, not how. So ask yourself who, not how. Who can help me build this community? Who has mastered this before? Who can I learn from? Who can I call? Who can I lean on when shit hits the fan and I need help? Not how am I going to do this on my own? How am I going to create a strategy? How am I going to choose all my metrics? Do it together. It's so much better. And I am so excited because now we're going to announce the winner of our scholarship. And so we do this every program. We started doing this at the back of cohort 7. We have a lot of people who can't afford the program. It's over $2,900. Totally understand that's an investment. And so we give away a cohort to someone at random. So Enos and I, we downloaded the 110 people that registered for the event today. And then we have basically picked we do like a random name generator. So this person is going to get free and complete access to cohort number 8. You're going to be learning with me for 8 weeks. I'm going to personally help you with your strategy and all of your goals. And this person, please, drum roll, is Catalina. She is the winner. Please post a yes in the chat. Catalina, your name, you're actually here live. Catalina, I'm going to get you up on stage right now. You have just won free access to the 8-week program. We're going to personally welcome you in. Enos and I will jump on a call with you next week. We'll run you through everything, and we're going to help you build your community. I love that you're just here today live. This was all pure chance. Catalina did not know she was the winner. Catalina, would you like to say anything as the winner of the scholarship? Please, please. Where is she? There she is.
Well, since I started going to your co-working days last year, I was like, I really need to do this program, and I know that I'm gonna get a scholarship because at the moment there is no way I can afford it. So I said, community is my passion. So, and I want to build up from your passion. So thank you, manifested this.
Yeah, Catalina, I can't wait to see you in cohort 8. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll send you your full scholarship and waive the fee for you, and you will become an official CCN. And so please, everyone else, wish Catalina a felicidades, they would say in Spanish, because this is the beginning of your strategy journey. Now, we've given you the tools to basically build the strategy, you know, the recipe or the ingredients. But there's so much more, right, behind the strategy. And really the kind of next steps after this is really thinking about your operations. How are you going to gather your resources and put your processes in place to now execute this strategy? We want to make sure you are communicating this strategy with the rest of your members and your team and stakeholders. And of course, you need support yourself to build that strategy. So this is exactly what we do at the Community Collective. Can't do that all in 75 minutes, but if you do want to dive deeper, we offer the program. We spend 8 weeks together building this strategy. You get feedback from our alumni editors. We have coaches. We've locked in speakers from all over the world to come and share their knowledge so you can become that athlete. And so if you're interested, you can book a free call with our team. We have Des and Venetia and Ines running calls all week, this week and next week. So if you'd like to book a call, you can do that through the link in the chat to just talk about community and challenges and work out if this is the good fit for you and what support that you might need. And if you don't need any support, amazing, take the strategy, off you go. But if you do, I'll leave you with this one quote from Jess, who's an incredible founder, and she established the plus equals minus framework. And if you want to achieve anything, you have to surround yourself by people who are ahead. They're 5-10 years ahead of you. They are plus to you. That are the speakers and the coaches in our program. Then you want to surround yourself who are equal to you. They are doing it with you, building the strategy, and they're in the weeds. And then you want to surround people who are before you, the minus, where you can pass on your knowledge and share what has worked and what has not worked. So everyone, that is the end of the workshop today. If you'd like to meet our team, absolutely will. We also have an info session tomorrow where we'll go through the entire cohort and have our coach and alumni live sharing their experiences. But other than that, it's been pure joy to see you all here and hang out in Orange on our new platform of Gather Round. So I hope you have the most beautiful day and just enjoy the rest of building community because you're already punching above just so many of your dreams. So thank you, everyone. Have the most amazing day, and we will see you next time. Bye.